Hi. Someone asked this the other night when we were up in Nevada City, and what I said then is that I think that talking about death all along is kind of like talking about sex. Like, all the studies show that you don't want to just wait until they're 14 or 15, or at any time and just suddenly then tell them about sex, but to talk to them, this is a part of life, and you explain what is age appropriate as they grow up along the way. You don't just tell it to them when it might be too late or when they've never heard it before. So I think near-term human extinction and what's happening now is something that I agree with Mimi about waiting until they're 14, 15, 16. But I think that talking with children all along the way that we're alive and everyone dies, and that death is a part of life, and any of us could go at any time. And thus we want to pay attention and show up and cherish what we have. And I think that's important because I think death is such a taboo topic in our culture, and no one ever talked to me about death as a child. And I would just encourage you all to have that be part of our awareness and have that be part of what you talk to your kids about all along.
Thank you both. My question is about truth of your message, and a full version of climate change. Yes, abrupt. Please explain why you won't address geoengineering in the present. The skies of today are not those of your childhood, are they? I'm frequently criticized for not telling the truth. Seems about the most bizarre accusation somebody could launch against somebody who left active service at the university where he's making 6 figures a year to make nothing, so that I wouldn't be shackled by a culture. I don't talk about geoengineering, ongoing geoengineering, because I see no scientific evidence to support it. I, at this point, collate, summarize, organize, and distribute scientific information created by other people. I'm not in a position now to conduct active research as I was when I was in the grant generating business. And I've seen no evidence in the published literature or anywhere else to support the idea that this anonymous they is out there spraying for some means that involves weather modification. So I don't speak about it because I don't see the evidence supporting the idea. Your mileage may vary, and in fact it clearly does for a lot of people in this room. Let's keep in mind that all is not what it appears. For example, most people would conclude that this table is solid. How could it be any other way? If you kick this table, you're going to hurt your foot. But in fact, we know based on science that the table is not solid. It's comprised almost completely of non-solid matter. It's this unique configuration of non-solid matter and a little tiny bit of solid matter that gives this the appearance of being a coherent solid object. And in fact, it is. For purposes of daily discussion, we don't have any problem calling this solid. So there are cases in which what appears to be true to us is not supported by the underlying scientific information. Next question, why are there now scalar waves evident in clouds over Chico? I don't know, because I don't know what a scalar wave is, and I've spent a total of about a week in Chico so far. Next question, what are they doing with the chemtrails? Well, I don't know who they is, and I don't know what a chemtrail is. So these questions are going by rather quickly. In fact, that's one of my big concerns about the use of terms such as they and chemtrails. Almost always I hear that they, whoever they are,
what's a chemtrail?
Are trying to kill us.
What is a chemtrail?
I have no idea what a chemtrail chemtrail is. That's my whole point.
People talk about it all the time. What is it?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know what a chemtrail is. I know what contrails are. Those are condensation trails produced by airlines going through differing levels of humidity in the air. So, and that can happen in rapid fashion, where we have contrails, and then no contrails, and then contrails, and then no contrails, as an airplane, for example, moves through layers of air with different levels of humidity. By habitat, do you mean food will go first? Water, question mark, air, question mark. Yes. Yes, I mean all of the above. The organisms can't keep up with, through evolution by natural selection, already organisms are trailing linear climate change by a factor of 10,000. So organisms that can move into new environments are those that we tend to think of as weedy, not those that we tend to prefer and that have sustained us. Water? Well, there's a few thousand people living in Northern California right now who haven't had water running through their taps for at least 6 months because the aquifer has been drained, because water that is 12,000 years old and up to 2 million years old in the aquifer has been tapped out. So what goes first? Well, for the 5 million people a year who die early deaths because of climate change, food and water have already gone. It hasn't affected many people in this room yet, but if you're one of the family of the 5 million, it affects you. You know about climate change. You know about habitat. You know that it's gone. Here's something that just came to my email inbox today. So I'm going to read it. The headline is NASA scientist warns California has 1 year of water left. Quotes from the article, we're not just up a creek without a paddle in California, we're losing the creek too. Right now the state has only about 1 year of water supply left in its reservoirs, and our strategic backup supply, groundwater, is rapidly disappearing. California has no contingency plan for a persistent drought like this one, let alone a 20-plus year mega drought. Except, and here's a quote from a NASA scientist, except apparently staying in emergency mode and praying for rain. Praying for rain doesn't seem like a scientifically grounded strategy for me. But that's where we're left. That's what we're left with, is the situation has become so dire that we can't access water, we can't access food. The air will become particularly problematic when the world's 440-some nuclear power plants melt down catastrophically, Fukushima style. Already ionizing radiation is rampant throughout the northern hemisphere and has been for the last 4 years. So, breathing clean air is already problematic. Drinking water is problematic for many people. Eating food is problematic for many more people. It hasn't hit Chico, California, perhaps, but I would suggest it's not far in the future before you know somebody whose life is affected by abrupt climate change. May we have your positive and honest expectation. Let me reread that. May we have your positive and honest. I thought this was about abrupt climate change. Expectation of the very best of humankind to mitigate and begin the process of reversing the damage humans have done. Well, there's a second question. May we have your positive and honest expectation of the very best of humankind to mitigate and begin the process of reversal of the damage humans have done. I used to be such an optimist. And There's a nice quote from Adyashanti that comes to mind. It goes like this: "Make no mistake about it, enlightenment is a destructive process. It has nothing to do with becoming better or being happier. Enlightenment is the crumbling away of untruth. It's seeing through the facade of pretense. It's the complete eradication of